Before we begin today's episode of the Black Curtain Club podcast, we would like to share a quick disclaimer. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by the hosts and guests on this podcast are their own personal views and are provided in their own personal capacity. All content is editorial, opinion-based, and intended for entertainment purposes only. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, my fellow interdimensional beings. Welcome back to the Black Curtain Club podcast. I'm Becca, and today I'm joined by my friends, Brooke and Angie, for a very special, very highly anticipated Mothman episode. We're taking you back to the vibes of episode 1, as Brooke and I are being held here against our will, and Angie won't give us the key until we've heard her disturbingly detailed account of the Mothman lore. Brooke, I'm kind of scared.
I'm excited. I want to be forced to be told about the Mothman.
Well, I'm going to do that. Your wish is granted, my lady. Well, I want to say I really appreciate you all just letting me walk you through this because this is my birthday week and I just wanted to do something special. I'm from West Virginia and this story is just so ingrained in our state culture. There's so much that gets left out. And I just wanted to take a moment to really tell the whole story. So I appreciate you guys being held hostage.
It's literally the least we could do.
Aww.
It's time to learn something new. Also, happy birthday.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. All right. You guys ready?
Yeah.
I'm ready. Mothman festivities.
Okay.
Let's go.
Time for a roller coaster.
Okay. So there are places in this world where the past never truly fades, where history lingers, pressing against the present, waiting to be remembered. And some say Point Pleasant, West Virginia is one of those places. Most people know this town for Mothman. So it's this winged creature with glowing red eyes that terrorized locals in the 1960s. But long before the first sighting, before the Silver Bridge collapse, before the town became famous for a cryptid, Point Pleasant already had a shadow over it. And this is a legend that's older than America itself. It's a story of betrayal, blood, and a dying man's final words that some say doomed this land forever. Do I have your attention with that?
My God, Angie. I am on the edge of my seat.
I'm ready for doom.
Lay it
All
on
right.
us.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I got the giggles now. God damn it.
Maybe we should just launch an episode where it's just us laughing the entire time and there's no other sound. It's just us cracking
Right.
up.
Well, the pressure of not being able to laugh makes it worse.
Yeah, it does. It's like you're in church or something and you're like not supposed to laugh. Okay. So our story begins in late 1700s, where the land that is now West Virginia was still a very dangerous frontier. It was a battleground where Native American tribes were fighting to protect their homes from the relentless westward expansion of settlers. So among them was a great Shawnee leader, Hokulesqua, better known as Chief Cornstalk. So by 1774, tensions between the settlers and the Shawnee had reached a breaking point, and it culminated in the Battle of Point Pleasant, a brutal, bloody conflict between Chief Cornstalk's warriors and the Virginia militia that was led by Colonel Andrew Lewis. And this battle raged along the banks of the Ohio River, and the Shawnee the Shawnee fart.
Shawnee, you're just fiddle farting around, right?
What's wrong with Okay. And the Shawnee fought fiercely, and they were ultimately forced to retreat. Cornstalk understood that further bloodshed would only bring more suffering to his people, so he chose diplomacy over vengeance, and he agreed to a peace treaty, but just 3 years later, in 1777, his goodwill would be repaid with betrayal. So Chief Cornstalk and his son, Nipsico, who was otherwise known as just Nipsico, traveled to Fort Randolph, a military garrison in Point Pleasant. And he had come as not an enemy, but a diplomat. And he was there to warn the settlers that there were hostile tribes planning to attack. But instead of gratitude, he was met with treachery. So the soldiers at the fort took Cornstalk and his son hostage. They imprisoned them and definitely did not treat them as peacekeepers. They wanted to keep them as bargaining chips. So days passed, and Cornstalk and his son remained in captivity. But then their fate would take an even darker turn. So after an unrelated skirmish between settlers and another group of Native Americans, a militiaman was killed. And the soldiers, driven by rage and vengeance, decided that somebody had to pay the price. And so, despite the fact that Cornstalk had come in peace, despite the fact that he had warned them of the impending attack, the soldiers turned their rifles on him and his son, and they were executed in cold blood. And this is where legend and history kind of blur, because as Cornstalk lay dying, as his blood was seeping into the dirt of Point Pleasant, it is said that he spoke his final words, not of fear, not of pleading, but of a curse upon the land. Though the exact wordings of the curse has been kind of lost to time, the accounts that survive tell us that Cornstalk condemned Point Pleasant to centuries of suffering, that no great prosperity would come to those who settled, and the land itself would be cursed with misfortune and death. So, whether it was a curse of a dying man or just a story twisted over time, the strange truth is Point Pleasant has been a place of tragedy and unexplained horrors ever since. For nearly 2 centuries after his death, Point Pleasant suffered fires, floods, disease, and some say, yes, these were natural disasters, but others say that they were echoes of this man's dying words. But then something changed. The curse wasn't just whispered in stories anymore. It took a form and it grew wings. And in the fall of 1966, people started seeing something lurking in the darkness. And it had red eyes. It moved faster than any human. And it left fear in its wake. And soon, people at Point Pleasant realized the horrors of the past were far from over and something else had arrived. So I just kind of want to check in with you as we kind of close that portion of the story. What do you think?
Sad.
That is very sad. Like I could see it being true, and that's what makes it so sad. It was rough times here in America for a while, and we weren't very kind to the people that hosted us. So I could definitely see this being true. And honestly, like if he did it, good, probably deserved it.
Right. So I want to take you now to the arrival of Mothman. So for nearly 200 years, the curse of Chief Cornstalk kind of lingered over Point Pleasant. But in the autumn of 1966, something arrived in the darkness, something that no one could explain, and it didn't strike like a flood, a fire, or a war. Like I said, it came with glowing red eyes, and the people who saw it would never be the same. So the first sighting actually happened in November 12th of 1966, and this is known as the graveyard encounter. So it kind of started with a whisper, an omen just out of sight. And on November 12th, 5 men were digging a grave in Clendenin, West Virginia, which is about an hour's drive from Point Pleasant. As they were worked under the dimming dusk of light, their shovels scraping against the cold earth, something caught their eye. It was a shadow that moved overhead, and at first they thought it was just a large bird, maybe an owl. But then it spread its wings. The men froze. They would later describe it as a dark humanoid shape, something that flew without flapping its wings, something that seemed too large, too unnatural to even belong in the sky. And then it was just gone. They stood there breathless, the freshly dug grave at their feet, and they were unsure of what they had just seen. So the story might have faded into an old ghost tale, another strange night in the hills of West Virginia, in Appalachia. Except it didn't stop there. The following night, something even more terrifying would happen. So this is going to take us to the most infamous sighting, in the sighting that really kind of started the whole legend. So this is the TNT chase, and this happened on November 15th of 1966. Roger and Linda Scarberry, along with Steve and Mary Millette, were driving just outside the town near an abandoned World War II munitions plant. This place, the locals called the TNT area. So it was on a dark, desolated stretch of road. It's the kind of place that always feels a little haunted. And then from the shadows, it stepped into their headlights, 7 feet tall, massive wings folded against its back, and its eyes glowing red, burning like coals. They sat frozen in their car, hearts pounding, and then it moved. It didn't run. It didn't walk. It lifted into the air, and then it was chasing them.
Oh my god.
Oh, no.
Shit.
So the couples then floor it. Their car is hitting speeds of over 100 miles an hour, and yet it was keeping up. The creature didn't flap its wings. It glided, following them effortlessly, like it was toying with them. And as they reached the town limits, just before the city lights met the darkness of the TNT area, it vanished. So the group that was still kind of, very rattled and shaking over this encounter, they drove straight to the police. And these were not the kind of people to make up stories. So, this is a rural town in West Virginia. These are kind of like you would call salt of the earth kind of people, right? Their reputation, their word was like their currency. They were young, married, level-headed people, and yet they saw something that changed them forever. And it didn't stop with just them. Over the next few days, more and more people came forward. There was a man who saw 2 red lights staring at him from the woods, and when he approached, they rose up and flew away. There was a woman driving home alone, felt something watching her, and when she looked in her rearview mirror, she saw a dark figure following her from above. And then there were a group of teens that claimed that it landed on their roof, scratching up the shingles, and vanished into the night.
Oh my gosh.
And these descriptions were always the same. Massive wings, glowing red eyes, a terrifying presence that made the air itself kind of feel heavier. And soon, the people of Point Pleasant were just not afraid. They were being hunted. So I just first want to do a little check-in again with you all to see where your head's at.
Oh my god, Angie.
I feel
I'm
like
picturing go ahead.
the Mothman is like he's like the embodiment of the curse. He is cursed, but he is also the curse.
Mm.
I'm picturing the cop from Terminator 2 just chasing them down. Like that weird predatory stillness, but moving so fast, and the way it's just gliding, like it's not even flapping its wings to catch up.
Say it's not even flapping, like it's just it's like an airplane. It's just going.
Yeah. But honestly, 7 foot tall, big wings. Oh my god.
Yeah. So I want to try to paint like a very comprehensive picture as much as possible. So just wanted to take a moment to relay some eyewitness statements. So when, while the tale of Mothman is, kind of a legend that's been birthed, I really feel like it's the voices of who were there, their raw, unfiltered accounts that truly bring this story to life. Again, let's journey back to 1966 and talk about some of these eyewitness accounts. And actually, in a roundabout way, hear directly from them. So let's talk about the Scarberry and Millette encounter, which again was on November 15th. They had set out for a drive at the old West Virginia Ordnance Works. And again, this is commonly known as the TNT area. As they approached the defunct power plant, their headlights caught something that defied explanation. Linda Scarberry would say, and I quote, "It was standing there, tall, maybe 7 feet, wings folded against his back, but those eyes, red, glowing, they seemed to pierce right through you." Panic set in. Roger slammed on the accelerator and the car fishtailed on the gravel road. And then Roger Scarberry, who would give his testimony and say, I pushed it over 100, but it was right above us, gliding, didn't flap its wings, just kept up with us. I've never been so scared in my life. And their ordeal didn't end until it reached the city limits. While the creature veered off into the darkness, they were extremely shaken. And as they reported the incident to the local sheriff, their account marked the beginning of everything that would haunt Point Pleasant. There was also a gentleman by the name of Newell Partridge, and he also had a terrifying encounter. So this was not long after the Scarberry and Millette encounter. And he's a resident of Salem, West Virginia, which is approximately 90 miles from Point Pleasant. He added, "It was a quiet evening. I was watching TV when the screen suddenly went dark, filled with this strange pattern. Then a loud, whining noise started, like a generator winding up. His dog Bandit, a German Shepherd, would begin to howl outside." Newell would go on to say, "I grabbed my flashlight and went out to see what had riled him up. That's when I saw those eyes, two red circles, like bicycle reflectors, staring at me from the barn. Bandit took off towards it, growling. I called for him, but he wouldn't come back. The next morning, Bandit was gone, leaving only paw prints that led to the barn but didn't return." His account, though occurring miles away, shared a common thread of the eerie and red eyes, and it just deepened the enigma surrounding Mothman. Also, on November 16th, there was the Thomas family sighting. So this was a day after Scarberry and Millette. So Marcella Bennett, along with her brother Raymond Walmsley and his wife, visited the home of Ralph and Virginia Thomas, and this was located near the TNT area. Marcella would say, and I quote, "We pulled up to the Thomas house, and as I got out of the car with my baby, I saw it, lying on the ground, like it had just been startled. It slowly rose up, its eyes fixed on us," end quote. Paralyzed by fear, she dropped her daughter and fell on top of her, shielding her from the creature. Marcella would also say, "It was like time stopped. I couldn't move, couldn't think. Those eyes, I'll never forget them." So the family rushed inside, locked the doors, and the creature reportedly approached the porch, peering through the windows before disappearing in the night. So all of these accounts, each unique, had a very eerie similarity, and it just kind of weaved into the tapestry of the mystery that has enshrouded Point Pleasant for decades. Whether this is a manifestation of clear fear or a misidentified creature or just something beyond comprehension, this Mothman remains like this enigma. So before we get into how the media gets involved in all of this, I just wanted to do another check-in. I know this is kind of a very creepy story, so I just want to keep checking in with you guys.
The things that I'm picking up on are multiple people seeing this. The first instance, it was 4 people that saw it, and then somebody else backing them up days later. And I can't help but notice that Mothman stole somebody's dog. Excuse me? Are we just gonna glaze over that?
Yeah,
He
he
took the
stole
guy's
the
dog.
dog. He stole it. And what I'm kind of wondering is is he going after families that are like somehow connected to the cornfield slaughter? Or like is he just like, "Oh, like you have a farm, like let me take your animals. Yum yum. Thank you for the dog."
Right, like what are his motivations at this point?
Yeah.
Because right now he just seems to be scaring people and acting like a dementor from Harry Potter.
You're right.
Dementor from Harry Potter.
Well, he's like on the ground, like she caught him slipping. He was like taking a little snooze.
I know.
And he just raises up. He's like, "Oh shit, I was supposed to be scary." She's like, "I laughed so hard I dropped my kid. I shit you not."
So this is where the media gets involved and the town becomes famous or infamous. So on November 16th, 19, Point Pleasant Register ran a headline that would cement this into history forever. And it just read, "Couples see man-sized bird, creature, something." Now the town's fear was public knowledge. Reporters flooded in, paranormal investigators arrived, and every night more and more people would patrol the roads of Point Pleasant, hoping to catch a glimpse of something in the dark. And then, as suddenly as it appeared, the sighting stopped. But it wasn't over, because just 1 year later, on December 15th, 1967, Point Pleasant would face a disaster that no one saw coming. So we're going to lead into the Silver Bridge collapse in the Men in Black. Are you guys ready for this?
Hold on. Do we want to acknowledge that somebody has entered?
Look who decided to show up.
He heard we were talking about Mothman. Couldn't resist.
I know. As if the winged creature himself has popped in. We are now joined with Kyle. Hi, Kyle.
the Men in Black, more like it.
Yeah.
He might not be as mysterious as the Mothman. He might be a little more kooky.
Cookie?
Kooky.
I thought you said cookie.
It's that Canadian accent.
Yeah, bud.
Oh, not the accent. Oh.
Oh, so she's not a goose. She's a cobra chicken. Anyway, proceed.
So, as if the sightings weren't strange enough, what happened next was even stranger, if you can imagine that. That's when the Men in Black arrived, and they basically wanted everyone to stop talking. So, in the wake of the Mothman sightings, residents in Point Pleasant reported encounters with these mysterious individuals known as the Men in Black. And these figures were often described as wearing impeccable black suits and exhibiting particular weird behavior, basically. They seemed intent on suppressing information about all of the explained phenomena. One eyewitness would say, and I quote, "They came to my door, 2 men in dark suits. Their speech was odd, like they weren't from around here. They warned me not to speak of what I'd seen." End quote.
Okay.
Right? And, people think the Jehovah's Witnesses are bad.
I know.
They have nothing on the Men in Black.
How did you know where I lived?
Men in Black have their little territory cards. Sorry, just a little XJW humor there.
They have their mission. We have ours.
So, as the sightings increased, so did the reports of these mysterious individuals that were urging people to remain silent. These Men in Black, as they came to be known, just added this layer of conspiracy and fear that was already pretty tense in Point Pleasant. So Mary Heyer, who was a local journalist, received numerous visits from these figures, and it just further entrenched the Mothman saga into this realm of the unexplained. So Mary Heyer would say, quote, "They came to my office asking strange questions about the sightings, about the people reporting them. Their behavior was off, almost mechanical," end quote. So the Men in Black phenomenon wasn't isolated just to Point Pleasant, though. Similar accounts have surfaced globally, even linked to UFO sightings. It just seems to remain ambiguous. Are they government agents, extraterrestrial beings, or something else entirely? So going back to Scarberry and Millette, after their harrowing encounter with Mothman, they experienced visits from individuals that they described as the Men in Black. And these mysterious figures warned them against discussing their sightings. Linda Scarberry would say, "They came to our home dressed in black suits and told us not to speak about what we saw. It was terrifying." And these visits were not isolated. Other residents reported similar encounters. Carpenter was another witness who reported a close encounter with Mothman while driving home. Shortly after, she was approached by strange men who warned her to remain silent. Connie would go on record and say, "They followed me, insisting I forget what I saw. Their presence was unnerving." So these accounts suggest that there was an absolute concerted effort to suppress information about the Mothman sightings. So this also leads us into a discussion about injured cold. So on the evening of November 2nd, 1966, Woodrow Derenberger, who was a sewing machine salesman, was driving home from Interstate 77 near Parkersburg, West Virginia. And guys, this is about to take a very wild turn. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I am strapped on and ready to go.
Okay.
Woo woo!
Did she say strap in or strap on?
Oh my god.
Give me that injured cold, Angie.
Injured cold, not to be confused with Injurin' Joe from Tom Sawyer.
Yeah. Don't even think about getting the two confused.
Yeah, right. All right, so let's pull it back to Woodrow. So his journey took an unexpected turn when he encountered a strange vehicle that forced him to stop. And when I say a strange vehicle, I'm not talking about like a car or a truck. He would go on to record and say, and I quote, "It looked like a kerosene lamp chimney, flaring at both ends, narrowing down to a small neck, and then enlarging in a great bulge in the center. It hovered about 12 inches off the road." That was the end of that quote. So from this craft, he would say that a tall figure with an unsettling broad grin would approach Derenberger and was able to communicate with him telepathically. He would go on to say, "He told me his name was Indrid Cold and that he meant me no harm. He was curious about humans and our way of life." And so this event would mark the beginning of a whole series of interactions that Derenberger would have with Indrid Cold. And Cold purportedly, according to Woodrow, shared insights about his origin from a planet called Lanilus. So you ready to hear about Lanilus?
I'm so ready.
Can we find out how he got his name first?
Indrid Cold? I don't know. Are you talking about Indrid Cold or Woodrow?
I don't know. The Lancelot sounded one.
Oh, the Lanilus?
Lancelot.
The Lancelot. Right. So Woodrow's interactions with Indrid Cold extended that initial meeting. He claimed that Cold hailed from the planet Lanilus in the galaxy of Ganymedes, a place where inhabitants lived in peace and had lifespans exceeding 100 years. He would go on to record and say, "He told me about Lanilus, a place without war, where people lived long, happy lives. It sounded like a utopia." So these accounts surrounding Indrid Cold traverse a whole spectrum of experiences, from unsettling encounters to profound revelations. So, again, is he a harbinger, an observer, or a participant in some kind of tapestry of an unexplained phenomena? But Indrid Cold will forever be intertwined with the events in the story of Point Pleasant, even to this day. So one of the things that is also a connection to Indrid Cold is something called the grinning man phenomenon. So Indrid Cold's description aligns with the reports of the grinning man, and he was a mysterious figure observed in various locations during the 1960s. He was described as a tall humanoid with a fixed, eerie grin, and it often was in conjunction with UFO sightings. So these sightings contribute to this broader narrative of unsettling encounters during this period, and it kind of blurs the line between extraterrestrial and cryptid. Prior to Derenberger's experience, on October 16th, 1966, two boys in Elizabeth, New Jersey, Martin Mouse Munov and James Jimmy Yanketis, reported a chilling encounter. So as they were walking along 4th Street, they noticed a tall figure standing near a fence. Martin would say, "He was just standing there, staring right at us with this big grin. It didn't feel right." They described him as a tall, bald man wearing a reflective green suit. A figure's unsettling grin left a huge mark on these boys. The incident is among some of the earliest reports linking Indrid Cold to the grinning man phenomenon. During around this same period, the Lilly family of Point Pleasant also reported a series of unexplained events in their home, including poltergeist activity and sightings of diamond-shaped lights. Linda Lilly would say, "I woke up one night and saw a man standing over me. He was tall with a big grin. I was terrified." So this account adds just this other layer to the Indrid Cold narrative. It suggests that his presence was not maybe just confined to isolated incidents, but also part of this broader pattern of unexplained phenomena in the region. Some researchers propose that there is a connection between Indrid Cold and the Men in Black. Witnesses have described encounters with grinning individuals in dark suits who exhibit unusual behavior. So, are the Men in Black part of the grinning man, Indrid Cold? Is Indrid Cold a Men in Black? But regardless, their presence was very much about suppressing and manipulating the information regarding the Mothman and extraterrestrial encounters. Their job seems to be suppressing whatever is going on. How are you guys doing? Just want to check in.
The green suit And the smile, the grinning man, is giving me Jim Carrey in The Mask.
Well, I don't think he has green skin though. So, like, these are like very pale figures.
I thought you said green
their
suit.
skin. He had a green suit on, but their skin is very pale. It's very uncanny valley.
So interesting that the Men in Black always find their way into stories like this. And it's always the same thing, right? They're trying to suppress the spread of information, trying to get people to isolate themselves and not talk about what they saw. And I always wonder, what is the point in that? You know, why are they trying to suppress this so bad? And it makes me wonder if there is something to, like, a bunch of people start believing in this thing and suddenly it gets more powerful. Like, do they know something we don't? Is it the power of collective thought that they're trying to suppress?
Right.
Are the Men in Black, are they aliens or are they government?
Yes.
Nobody knows.
Both.
Maybe a mixture?
I mean, there's speculation that, they could be both. They could be extraterrestrial and working for the government or with the government.
Lizard people.
Look up their descriptions. It's very terrifying. Like, they don't look human when you see them face to face.
They're almost robotic.
Like, apparently they have, like, they have a wrongness about them where they don't seem like they're one of us. But that's just, the stories that people tell. So it's interesting that we have Men in Black, Indrid Cold, Mothman, all in the same area. They are causing hell in West Virginia. I love this. This is so exciting. I'm here for the chaos.
It's a hot spot.
I still don't even know if, like if they're the ones causing the hell, or they're like, screw it, we'll blend in because, like, it's West Virginia. You know what I mean? Like, no one pick up on it.
It's like a conference.
Exactly. Like, that's where, it's like, it's just Tuesday. It's just Tuesday. You know what I mean? I'm still a firm believer, though, that I have friends who think I'm absolutely off my rocker with this one. I'm a firm believer that the movies Men in Black were designed and put out by the Men in Black or by some type of, like, the government or whatever it is, but more or less to kind of throw them off, to throw the public off their trail of.
Do you think Will Smith knows?
I think absolutely not, but I think that movie was designed and released, like I said, to just kind of like, oh, they're not real. It's just this haha. It's just a Hollywood movie. So it's like, kind of like everyone stops paying attention because, like, Men in Black, oh, you mean the movie? I love it. It's great. Like, I feel that there's, I don't know, something about watching that movie.
You're onto something there. It's
really
like search engine optomatization, right? Yes. Like, if somebody's Googling information about Men in Black, they're going to find out about Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith.
Exactly. That's all. That's all they're going to see. I'm so serious. So if anyone starts snooping, just go to Google search, and that's all you're going to see is just those movies and this, that, and the other thing. And maybe you'll see a couple of things about, like, Mothman and UFOs and so on and so forth. But for the most part, you're just going to see the movies. And then now, then they made the fourth one, which wasn't necessarily the best, but whatever. It's just like, it just keeps burying the truth, if you will, about them. And I think there is just I also think that they just, like, blatantly admitted about them. Like, yes, they're a real thing. No, they're not the government. They're their own privately working entity. Aliens are real. We hold the patents on certain technologies. That's how we pay for all of this. So, like, go back and watch those movies and just tell me that, like, it doesn't make so much more sense. Like, oh my God, that's exactly what these are.
They're like intergalactic kingsmen. This really reminds me of that theory that when they made the movie Frozen, that Disney movie, the reason they did that was so that for search engine optimization, if people were wondering if Walt Disney was frozen, they would type Disney Frozen, a movie would come up, like a sensationalized movie. So I can totally see where you're coming from, and I don't think you're crazy for thinking it.
It's kind of interesting that you say that, because I feel like we have so many conspiracy theories about, or who knows if they're actually conspiracy theories, like known truths, basically, at this point. And I think that the ones that they want to cover up harder are the ones they're making movies about. Like, we can talk about Wendigos, we can talk about the Illuminati all day, but they're not sitting over here, like, making Disney movies and stuff about those things.
I'd camp out for 3 days to get the tickets to the first release of a Disney movie about the Illuminati. I would absolutely. Which is really funny, because I feel
Pixar. That'd be a Pixar.
The main song of it is still, like, the first song from Moana. Like, the first song in the Illuminati movie would be, like, the one, we're safe here. There's no need to leave. You're fine right where you are. Don't go out there. Like, that's
one of us.
Exactly.
Like, the Illuminati's friendly. Like, don't worry about it.
Anywho. Illuminati forever.
Anywho, Mothman.
I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about the bridge collapse. And kind of want to have a little bit of reverence here because a lot of people lost their lives. So as 1967 drew to a close, the town of Point Pleasant was all about the holiday spirit. There were shoppers that filling the streets, children's laughter everywhere. The Silver Bridge stood as this vital artery connecting communities across the Ohio River. And again, I want to paint a picture just a little bit of Point Pleasant. Point Pleasant is a very, very small, quaint, really Americana kind of town. You can literally stand almost like on one end of the town and see the other end. It's a very small, just everyday USA kind of town. So in December 15th, it was unseasonably a mild day, and this bridge was a critical link between Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and Gallipolis, Ohio, and it bore the weight of rush hour traffic and as people were venturing out to do holiday shopping. So at 5:04 p.m., amidst the congestion, a sudden catastrophic failure occurred, and eyewitnesses would describe the sound like gunfire, a series of sharp cracks, and the bridge's structure just completely gave way. An eyewitness would go on record to say, "I was driving across when I felt a shudder. Next thing I knew, the road beneath me disappeared, and I was plunged into the icy water." In those moments, vehicles and passengers were hurled into the frigid Ohio River. The collapse claimed 46 lives and 31 vehicles were lost. And this tragedy has left a permanent scar on the community. So in the aftermath, federal and state agencies launched an exhaustive investigation to uncover the cause of this disaster. And the preliminary findings indicate that there was a failure in the bridge's suspension system. There was a critical eye bar in the chain that fractured due to a minute defect. And when I say minute, the analysis revealed that a flaw, a mere 1/10 inches deep, had compromised the integrity of the suspension chain's eye bar. And this defect, combined with the bridge bearing loads that was really far beyond its original design capacity, culminated in the tragic collapse. So in the wake of this, it was a horrific and terrible tragedy for such a small
less
town.
Less than a centimeter. Crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like almost feels like it couldn't even have been prevented because like it's gonna go it's obviously gonna go unnoticed because it's so small.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. So in the wake of this disaster, residents began to draw a conclusion that between everything that had happened with all the eerie things in this bridge collapse, that there was a connection. A local resident would go on record to say, "We saw those red eyes near the bridge weeks before it fell. Some say it was a warning, others think it was an omen." So the Mothman, with its glowing red eyes and ominous presence, was now intertwined with this narrative of the Silver Bridge collapse. Was the creature a harbinger of doom? Was it foretelling this impending disaster? Or was this merely just a figment of collective anxiety? Or like some kind of manifestation of the town's underlying fears? So the Silver Bridge collapse prompted significant changes in infrastructure safety protocols across the United States. Regular inspections and stringent maintenance routines became mandatory to prevent this type of tragedy from occurring in the future. But for Point Pleasant, the events between 1966 and 1967 became more than just historical footnotes. They evolved into like this tapestry of folklore, cautionary tales, and this testament to the community's resilience. Today, the Mothman legend endures, and it really has become like this symbol about the thin veil between the known and the unknown. And it reminds us that there are mysteries that lurk at the edges of our understanding. Beyond the shadow of Mothman's wings, there are other mysteries that took root in Point Pleasant. There are whispers of, again, these dark suited figures, a grinning man, paranormal activity. It's all just like woven into something that's, fantastical. There is a paranormal researcher that said, the men in black served as silencers, ensuring that extraordinary encounters remain unreported. Their origins and affiliations remain subjects of intense speculation. So these men in black kind of underscore the profound impact of Mothman sightings, not just in Point Pleasant, but everywhere. Here's where I think we have to ask, is Mothman a real cryptid? Is it an omen of disaster? Or something even stranger? Why do sightings of Mothman creatures continue worldwide? Are we dealing with a single entity, or is it just a reoccurring phenomenon across time and space? What do you all think?
I think Mothman is one creature. Maybe he's like a god. He can be everywhere at once. That's why he can keep going to other places too.
Okay, because I have like a whole list of theories so I want to hear your theory, and then we're going to talk about some theories.
I think that it's definitely an interdimensional being, and I think that it's attracted to places where things are going to go down, right? And like maybe the reason people like started noticing him, it kind of fed into that and made it a little more powerful, like a tulpa almost, if you believe in that kind of thing. But I definitely think that there is something to this. There is something to all of the weird things going on in Point Pleasant, and I am so fucking excited to hear what people have to say.
Right. So some of the theories is there's what is called the cryptid hypothesis. So some research believes that it's a flesh and blood cryptid, as something kind of yet undiscovered species of something more related to a large nocturnal bird or some kind of big flying mammal. There is a sandhill crane theory. So ornithologists propose that some kind of lost sandhill crane, which has about a 7-foot wingspan and red markings around its eyes, could have been misidentified as a supernatural entity. There's the owl theory. They suggest that a barred owl's eyes reflecting headlights could have been, giving this illusion of red eyes in the dark. The problem is every witness that has ever seen Mothman, and we're talking worldwide, has described him as a humanoid figure with massive wings and the ability to glide without flapping. So much like you, Becca, there is an interdimensional being hypothesis. So again, they think that he's not a physical creature, but something that exists outside of normal time and space. And this could explain why there's sudden appearances, bizarre movements, and the ability to vanish without a trace. There is the harbinger of doom hypothesis, or the omen theory. So there are people who believe Mothman appeared as a warning, foretelling disasters such as the Silver Bridge collapse. Similar winged creatures have reportedly been seen before other catastrophes. So before the Chernobyl disaster, Mothman was sighted, and this was in 1986.
Whoa, wait.
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Serious. Yeah.
What was he doing there? Traveling?
What do you think he was doing there? Fucking Mothman shit, man.
He was foretelling disasters.
The guy's shit's about to go down. You need to get out of Chernobyl.
Right.
He's like, no one ever listens to me. I'm trying to scare them away before they die.
I keep trying to help these people.
I know.
The most misunderstood interdimensional being ever. He's just trying to, guys, get out of here. The bridge is gonna. Oh,
They
no.
just hear like an otherworldly screeching when he opens his mouth, and they run in terror. And he's just very calmly saying, "Something is going to happen. You need to get to safety."
Guys, the reactor's melting down. That's hysterical. That is hysterical.
He sees the disaster, and he kind of like jumps his shoulders and kind of like hangs his head down low, like, well, I tried. Once again, I tried. I mean,
Kicks a rock.
Honestly, I kind of feel him on that.
Oh my god.
In 2007, there was the I-35 bridge collapse in Minnesota, and Mothman was allegedly spotted like mere moments before it fell. So those are two things that, we can kind of point to that he's been a part of. I know that there are some people in it, and I've heard it, but I've not ever been able to find any like real eyewitness testimony, but some people say that Mothman was seen before 9/11 too. So just putting that out there.
He knew. Never forget.
He knew. Right. So
it's crazy.
then there's
Inside job.
Yeah. It was an inside job. There was the government experiment hypothesis. So, we've talked a lot about the TNT area. So some people think that Mothman was the result of a secret government experiment that was in the abandoned World War II munitions plant, that it may have been some kind of bioengineered creature. It was some kind of like military project gone wrong. The TNT did have a lot of toxic chemical waste at one point. There are underground tunnels. And I just want to say on that front, so I've visited Point Pleasant multiple times, and I've actually spent the night in one of the concrete igloos, shaped just like what you would think, a dome, large dome with a little like squared off entrance and like these hard metal doors, like thick metal doors. And, you go in there and it is just such a kind of a weird, overwhelming feeling. Again, because it is a thick structure.
Like a Pixar mom.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you have to walk down this path. There's like a pond over here that, I'm sure that pond probably still has some kind of chemical toxic stuff in it. But that area is kind of creepy.
It's almost painting a picture of like some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crap. Like there's like a puddle of toxic ooze, a moth falls into it, gains the powers of Moth and Man. And I can't help but wonder if Angie didn't go and get the powers of Mothman when she went to go stay in the igloo, and if she's been lying this whole time.
I know. I'm Mothman.
The power of Moth and Man.
Do you think that if the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles met Mothman, would they be friends or foes?
Probably foes.
I think they'd be.
You wouldn't
Really? I think they'd be friends.
I think it'd be
You
kind of
wouldn't
like
have the patience.
I feel it'd be like a Daredevil and Punisher kind of thing.
Yeah. They respect each other, but don't really operate on the same.
Want the same thing, just different ways of going about it.
Yeah, methods are questionable.
Yeah, questionable.
Yeah. So then there's the psychological mass hysteria hypothesis. So this is where the skeptics come in and say that none of this actually ever happened, but it's just a case of mass hysteria. And the panic surrounding the Silver Bridge collapse may have just retroactively fueled false memories of exaggerated accounts.
Oh my god.
Those are the Men in Black.
Yeah, because that makes
That's
the most
the
sense.
Men in Black. That's the Men in Black coming out here for.
Yeah, we see you. You can't trick us.
Yeah, that's the undercover Men in Black pretending to be
nothing to see here.
Scientists and stuff.
I actually heard everyone was just stupid.
It's like, but, hear me out. Now, what? This is me pretending to be them. Like, it's posing as like a journalist. I'm just seeing someone in like, literally someone dressed like the Men in Black, like the black suit, the tie, the black shades, black shoes, but then also at the same time, just like a trench coat over that with a little notepad. And he goes, yes, but what if everyone's just fucking crazy? Am I right? Am I right?
Like, everybody like turns and looks at him.
And he just like shrugs and was like, people.
Who invited this asshole?
People.
I love it when they try to tell people who have lived in the same area their whole life, no, you didn't see what you thought you saw. You saw an animal that you've probably encountered before, and you just made a mistake.
It was a weather balloon. It was a weather balloon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you know what an owl looks like, idiot?
Yeah.
So I did want to just kind of as a footnote, just mention some other sightings because they've been fairly recent. So in 2009, there was an 6.5 magnitude earthquake in Mexico. And Mothman was seen right before that. And again, witnesses described the large, red-eyed, winged figure hovering over buildings.
He was at the Chupacabra's quinceañera. That's what it was.
He just happened to be in the same place at the same time.
That was
I was just
perfect.
thinking, it's like he's just on vacation. He's on an interdimensional little vacation, Griswold style, and he keeps trying to have these nice times, and all these tragedies keep happening around him.
Like I'm picturing him in like Cancun in like board shorts with like the coconut drink, and also everything starts shaking, and he just looks over. There's a family looking at him all terrified. And he goes like, "You're gonna blame me, aren't you?" Shit.
Yeah.
I already know what it looks like. Go ahead and take your picture.
So, also in 2002, in Afghanistan, soldiers stationed near Bagram Air Base claimed to see a dark humanoid creature gliding through the sky at unnatural speeds. Now, some people say it was just kind of some kind of giant bat or bird, but Mothman sightings in the middle of military engagements. So then we go to 2017, and Chicago, Illinois received like a shit ton of Mothman sightings. Same description. He was seen near O'Hare International Airport, all over the city. There were tons of police, security officers, truck drivers, bystanders, all reporting the same event on the same day, that he was just flying all over Chicago. And interestingly, after Chicago, there were lots of Men in Black activity afterwards, just like in Point Pleasant. The thing about Point Pleasant is they have a museum, and I cannot think of his name off the top of my head, but he's an absolute wonderful, wonderful person. He has, sourced all of the information about all of this stuff. Like, he has all the original police reports, and he's just like this local expert on all things Mothman. And I remember once, having a conversation with him, and he was saying, like, the Men in Black still to this day visit the families of those that were most affected. And this was, I want to say, oh gosh, maybe 9-10 years ago, when I was down there. And at that time, when we had that conversation, they had visited like 2 weeks prior. So it's, there's still a lot of things going on in Point Pleasant with the Men in Black and the families that were affected. And two, every few years, locals still report that they see Mothman. There are reports from hunters, hikers, local residents. They still see it. Also, as kind of just another side note, so as I was scrolling through TikTok, as one does, I came across a content creator named True Storyteller. And this was a post that he made on 3/21. And he had two people come forward to him with reports that, like a week prior to posting that Mothman was sighted in Bloomington, Illinois, near USC, New Williams Hall. He was seen, again, described tall figure, bright glowing red eyes. The people who saw it thought it was like a prank, so they started to approach it, and then it took off and flew. Like, it just hovered and flew off. Then around the same time that this was going on, in Lancaster, PA, on the Safe Harbor Trail, he reported that there was an older man walking a dog late at night. The dog alerts, starts barking. He sees this tall figure. It had red glowing eyes, large wings, and it made a large screeching howl and then took off into the sky.
Love that.
So, yeah. So this was, in March of 2025. People are still seeing Mothman.
No. That was like 2 weeks
Point
ago.
Pleasant
It was like 2
just
weeks.
kind of seems like it's his main hangout. Like, that's just where his home is. That's where his little bungalow is, whatever he lives in. He's just like, yeah, this is my place. But like,
Bungalow.
yeah, he just kind of like goes wherever there's gonna be a disaster, and he's like, hey guys, like, you better watch out. And then he just gets kind of stumbled across wherever he's just trying to like vibe and chill by himself. The poor guy, he can't get his privacy.
It's like the opposite of pleasant. Why the fuck did they call it Point Pleasant? That sucks here.
I know.
That's the point.
I know.
It's not pleasant.
But I will say, for this town to like have this infamy and just, here we are, still talking about it in 2025, they have really just decided to embrace their history. So every year they have a Mothman festival. You can go and get Mothman pizza. I highly recommend it. It is amazing. There are museums and a lot of, just shops and stuff that are all Mothman centered. The other thing is, let's talk a little bit just briefly about the pop culture, how Mothman has really influenced pop culture and became like this modern day urban legend. So we all know the Mothman Prophecies film, right?
Yes.
So this was John Keel's book that was written in Point Pleasant at the Lowe's Hotel. I've actually stayed at the Lowe's Hotel, stayed in the room that John Keel wrote the book in. That hotel is very haunted. So if anyone is looking for a scary good time, definitely go to the Lowe's Hotel in Point Pleasant. And the museum has a lot of the memorabilia and actual things from that film. So again, if you're ever in Point Pleasant and want to check out all things Mothman, go and touch the statue and check out, how caked up he is from the backside. Definitely
double cheeked up.
Dummy.
Like, there's no reason that statue needed to come with that ass. It's interesting, like, people now are literally leaving money in the crack of his ass. So,
wow.
Dude, I've been thinking it this whole time. Mothman sounds handsome as hell. Tall, dark, and handsome. Check.
All right, Mary fuck kill. The bear, a man, or Mothman?
The bear, a man. Moth bear.
I would marry the bear, fuck the man. Fuck Mothman and kill the man.
Hey, Mothman, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
If he's that dummy thick, hell yeah.
So Mothman has also, like, it's just kind of very recently seems to be more and more taking over internet culture. Build-A-Bear even has a Mothman.
They do.
So they do, and I actually have it. I have one. I have a Mothman Build-A-Bear. I love it so much. But yeah, so guys, this is the Mothman story. We're at the end of everything. I don't really have anything else. So, final thoughts? Did I keep you hostage too long?
No, it was perfect. It's a perfect story.
Such unison.
It's perfectly done. Such good research. And I can tell you care so much about it because you have the merch, girl. Like, you've been on the tour. Like, you got all the Mothman lore. I love it so much.
I do. I just love it. And I really wanted to do this for my birthday week. And so thank you guys for humoring me. It's just, I love my state so much. I think there's so much beauty, but there's also so much lore in the Appalachian Mountains. And I just wanted to pay, like, homage to my roots and, the tales and the lore that comes out of West Virginia.
So as our West Virginia expert, like, I want to know, what do you think Mothman is? Tell us, Appalachia girl. What is this thing?
I think it's an interdimensional being. I think it's definitely an omen. I think that it's curious. And I think it's benevolent. I do not think, except maybe for the dog. I'm a little upset that the dog didn't return.
I know. But stole somebody's
poor dog.
I know.
He's a companion.
Yeah.
He adopted it. He goes, "This is mine now."
I hope so. But yeah, I don't think it's a malevolent spirit. I think it seems to, maybe it's some kind of time traveling interdimensional thing, that it seems to be centered around things that are like disasters, and it's either observing the disaster or trying to, like, tell people something's happening. But I think it's more about observation, honestly. I definitely think there's so much lore, and, like, Injured Cold could be his own, like, episode. But, Injured Cold is tied to a lot of different stories, not just Mothman, but, they seem to be these observers. I think it's real. I think these people absolutely experience something. I will never discount their eyewitness testimonies because it's substantiated and corroborated worldwide,
Right.
Absolutely.
If you have enough, it's why I believe so much in Bigfoot too, because there are people that absolutely see something. And if we kind of go back, particularly Becca, to the one episode where we talked about, the back rooms in, kind of the modern day folklore, how do you prove or disprove that somebody had an experience?
Exactly. Right. Because it's all hearsay. It literally is all hearsay. It just depends on whose mouth you want to hear it coming from. And that's literally it at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Brooke, what do you think of Mothman? Give me your scorecard now that you've heard his whole story. What do you think Mothman is? What do you think he wants?
I think Mothman, like you guys think, I do think he's interdimensional. I think he's highly misunderstood. I think he's kind of a sad soul. I feel really bad for him because all he's trying to do is like warn people and he accidentally scares them and then they're probably like, oh yeah, like this disaster's Mothman's fault, like fuck him. And he's like, guys, like I literally was just trying to tell you to leave the stupid ass bridge. Or like wherever. And then like also he has these crazy people following him around being like, yeah, like straight up like you didn't see Mothman, you guys are crazy. And then he's like, guys, like now everyone's saying I'm not even real. Like I'm a real guy and everyone doesn't even
I'm a real boy.
It's like Tinkerbell, nobody believes.
I'm kind of happy for him at the same time because at least in Point Pleasant they kind of are like treating it like he's their god. Like they like built a statue of him and they're like, yeah, like big ass Mothman, like he's as sexy as the Greek gods, you know.
Zeus who?
All right, Kyle, you came in at like literally the halfway point. You got the back half of this story. I'm curious what you think about Mothman now.
I'm kind of piggybacking off of Brooke's feelings. Like we were saying it like jokingly, like having fun, but I think I definitely agree with Ange that it sounds like he exactly like he means well and he's just trying to warn people of the bad thing. Like somehow he's got whatever powers and shit that it is. He knows something bad's gonna happen, but he's trying to communicate it, and people can't understand him because he's a giant freaking moth and we are but bags of meat.
Yeah.
You know? And so we can't understand him, and so there's like, it's like when the dogs bark, it's like Lassie, bark, 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 bark. Timmy's in the well, bark, bark. Like we can't understand him, so it's kind of like that. I mean, and let's face it, he's freaking menacing looking. Like he's not a cute little spaniel. Like he's kind of.
You have your type, I have mine.
He said, "Hey, don't yuck my yum." Hey, everyone fucks fun into someone. Who am I to judge?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But still,
we're
like,
both taking a ride on an odd bicycle.
but like like kind of damn scary. So,
very much so.
So yeah, I definitely think I definitely believe that. God, train, come back.
Something to it.
Yeah, there definitely is something to it. And I think the only thing, at least for me, the thing that makes the most sense is that he is just trying to warn us, and everyone is so quick to label something bad just because they don't understand it and they see bad things happening. Mm-hmm. He's the real life Bruno, only we're talking about him and we can't talk about Bruno. So
yeah,
it's just warning us. And
well,
so
the Men in Black would like you to stop talking about him.
No, screw you, Will Smith. The fucking Men in Black.
Get Mothman's name out of your fucking mouth.
Yeah, but Becca wants Mothman in her
Oh
mouth.
my god. I'm like catching snowflakes on my tongue out here in Point Pleasant.
Spoiler alert, that ain't snow.
Right, well, Angie, this was so incredible, and it's so perfectly timed because it's like a little early birthday present for you. And I'm going to close out the episode here. I'm going to say this was our Mothman deep dive, and let's be honest, audience, you gobbled up every crumb, didn't you? There is something so tantalizing about a tall drink of eldritch water. Hopefully, Moth Daddy accepts our offering as a tribute and blesses our endeavors with ominous abundance instead of whipping us for our impudence. Rate, comment, and subscribe wherever you get podcasts, because we are still breathing and you can't keep us from these microphones. Now that we know what the record button does, we're putting out a new episode every single Monday. I don't care if there's a fire. I don't care if there's a flood. I don't care if there's a moth who is a man. We will be back next week.
Hell yeah.
Goodbye, my love.
Bye.
That is one hell of a send-off.
Bye.
Say bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle.